Oh, no. Alright, hold on. Dude. Not like this. Not like this. Please don't let us leave him in a trapped cave in a mine.
Guardians, mate. The last of.
A game that everybody saw at E3 and went, oh, what's
Shadow
that?
of the Colossus.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus, same people. Eco, which I think a lot of people also went, never heard of that game either. So I think this is a game where people look at it and go, well, that's probably not for me. Or what is this game about?
Oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to dive in. Although we have to say, we put this off. It wasn't on the list, but people got in contact saying,
They did,
don't play
directly.
it. Yeah, saying the controls were super
You're gonna
jank.
hate it.
But we're going to find out for ourselves. So let's Last Guardian.
Just do it, mate.
Select character.
The Last Guardian, mate.
Yeah, contrary to what I said in the video intro, we ended up finishing this one. It was fucking well good. It was really good, but I seriously doubt it's for everybody to play. This is not going to be a widespread broadside hit to all the player base. You really have to be kind of into it, or it's not going to work out at all. But yeah, I was into it. I got it. I was like, yes,
Cool.
this is cool.
There was a lot of controversy about this game as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. Like I said in the intro, it was like so many people contacted me like, don't play it, it's janky, it's fucking up its own ass with its controls, it's blah, 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 blah. But once I got into it, it's got rules, which we'll get into the gameplay. It's got rules that if you follow, the game works fine. It works fine, but if you have to learn the rules. If you don't learn the rules, you're going to be fucked up.
I'm alright with that.
Yeah, so the story of the game is easily... I mean, this is a story game. Despite the fact there is no real story to be told, it's a story that you're creating yourself on the journey.
Okay,
and
that's
it's
interesting.
Yeah, very much like Shadow of the Colossus is like, all the way through, you're doing these things, and you're still questioning yourself all the way through it as to why you're doing these things. So I'll give you the setup, but I'm not going to spoil it. Is you just wake up, you're a young child, you wake up, you have no name, you're suddenly covered in tattoos, and you wake up next to Trico. And Trico is obviously the big dog, bird, cat, monster thing. And the guy, actually, there is a narration, which is the voice of the boy, but as a man.
Okay.
The voice just calls it the Beast. And there's some history about these beasts, and now he's actually encountered one. It's like a legacy that these things are myths that might have existed.
That's interesting, because it's basically a flashback then, I'm getting.
Yeah, you get this sort of initial idea that all through time they spoke about these creatures, but none have ever been seen, and then suddenly he just wakes up and he's next to one.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and that's about it. And then the very first thing you're doing is you form this thing taken straight basically out of the Bible. You know the story where he pulls the thorn out of the lion's paw and it doesn't bite him? It's very much the same thing, because Trico is chained up. It's got a collar around his or her neck. And it's hurt, it's got spears wedged in it and all that kind of stuff. So you pull the spears out and you eventually release the collar, and then Trico takes an interest in you and starts to follow you around and stuff like that.
That's
and then,
cool.
Yeah, and then you form this bond, and over the course of the game, you end up going as far as literally both of you risking your lives to save the other. And you just can't help it. You're just like, you feel this fucking bond for this creature.
That's
and
good.
And what makes it so much better, Andy, and I can't even believe how good they've done this with the animations, is it's all via observation. You have to look at how Trico's behaving. You have to look at... They do kind of put it in your face with its eye color. So when it's angry, it's red. When it's cautious, it's yellow. But it's done in the animations as well.
Oh, so
you'll be
looking.
looking.
So it's not just an obvious visualization.
No,
it's actual
no.
like the animal's body language, if you like.
100%. 100%. The body language of Trico's tells you the story of what Trico's feeling at the time. So you wake up and you're in this sort of sky temple, very much like Zelda Twilight Princess. You're in the sky, and it's either a castle or a temple or whatever you want to call it. And you're obviously trying to get out. This isn't where you live. I mean, the very beginning of the game is the boy saying, well, I'm going back to my village. And then he's like, well, fuck, we're in the fucking clouds somewhere.
Yeah.
What do we do now? So you'd think it was a story of escape, but it's not. And again, this is done by Trico's body language. Trico isn't trying to escape. Trico wants to go up. Because you're in the clouds, escape would be down.
Yeah.
Trico doesn't want to go down, and makes it very apparent that Trico's saying to you, by the way Trico acts and behaves, we're going up. And up is where we need to be. You don't know why. And you kind of, you'll obviously find out as you play the story that there is a reason that Trico wants to go up, but it's the way the game pushes you and tells you by just how Trico is behaving that Trico wants to go up. You don't know where you are anyway, and you end up working together in order to accomplish this goal that you don't really know, but you understand it.
Yeah, that's an interesting twist that obviously, like you say, you should be going down if you're in some sort of sky castle. So the intrigue is there as to why Trico is leading you up.
Yeah, why are we going up? Why are we doing that? But at the same time, you can't go down on your own. You know you can't do that. So you end up kind of going along with it, and then you kind of feel why we need to go up, and then it becomes important to you. But at the same time, you're still asking questions like, who is the boy? Okay. Why is the boy covered in tattoos? What does that mean? What is going on here? It's a super minimalist game, so every little piece of information they give you is important as to the context as to why you're there. So you don't know, is this place you are a prison for Trico? I mean, you'll literally, in the very first 10 minutes, you'll find what appears to be, and might not be, a torture chamber for Trico. And you'd like, is this a torture chamber for Trico? Is that what this is? But it never tells you. So you're kind of guessing that that's what's going on there. Okay. Or is Trico bad? And you don't know. Is this a prison for Trico because Trico is very dangerous? And you are now helping Trico achieve something that you don't know what that is. Trico's saying, I want to go up. And you're like, well, okay, we're going to go up. But then you're asking yourself, what if Trico's like a demon? A really dangerous demon.
The game delivers it to you like there's some sort of mutual benefit to your friendship.
There
could be a motive behind it.
We said this a few times, is the story or the direction and the journey of the game shows you that you need, Trico needs you as much as you need Trico.
Right.
So when Trico is jumping to save your life, is Trico doing that because without you it can't accomplish its evil ends? Or is it because it's doing something good and pure? Or is it doing something because it loves you? Or it wants you to live? Or what? And you're just like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. And the game keeps giving you clues. And in such subtle ways. So it can be colors. Trico needs to be fed. But it's fed this sort of energy. And then you'll come up against enemies. There is combat in the game. And them enemies are used by the same color as the energy that Trico eats. So is this are they powered by Trico? Are they absorbing energy from Trico? You don't know.
Oh, okay.
There's so much. It's all in the little observations. It's observing body language and everything. But what I can tell you is a great journey and a great story to go on, despite the fact that you're doing it yourself. You're working out the story all for yourself. It's so fucking cool. It's so cool. So the gameplay then. Now, this is why we were spammed not to play this on stream, because I'm very mechanics focused, and the mechanics can be a problem in this game. They spent 7 years making this game, and it was even said that it was because they want Trico's AI to be as good as possible. This isn't Elizabeth from Infinite, who's invisible and nobody will bother fucking looking at her or shooting at her or anything. It is you and Trico throughout it. And if Trico doesn't behave properly, that's going to fuck you up, because this is, in essence, a puzzle game.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle game. And the puzzles are obscure as fuck in some cases. The very first puzzle the game gives you takes you to a very elaborate room to pick up an item, and then tells you to use the item, but you do not use the item until 4 rooms previous is the actual place. And that is the first puzzle, and that's basically the game telling you, like, look, you're going to have to think a little bit about these puzzles. There's a lot of platform involving there, but the puzzles are not going to be, you picked up item, that must be used in this room, which is a mindset I had going in.
Or necessarily that the item is to be used in the same room that you found it.
Absolutely not. No, you had to travel 4 rooms back. You could work out what the item did, but you couldn't find where to use it, and then you have to kind of piece everything together to get it done. So the big part of the game, obviously the gameplay, is you've got jumping, you've got fucking running around and all that kind of stuff. Grab things, move things. Think about Zelda type stuff, grabbing pots and boxes and all that kind of shit. But the big part of it is Trico's behavior and your interaction with Trico. Because it's a puzzle game, Trico essentially needs to turn into various parts of the scenery. So you can climb Trico, you can run around on Trico, you can get Trico to jump with you. You do have commands, so you can make Trico sit, you can make Trico stomp, you can make Trico jump up in the air, you can learn how to do all these things, but you have to play by the rules of the game. So in terms of the puzzles and the interactions with Trico, this is where it can either go perfectly, and when it does, it's fucking awesome, or it falls apart. Because Trico is so complex, I mean, Trico has her own his or her own behaviors. She'll roll in water, she'll play with things, she'll chase butterflies, she'll do all these kind of things that makes her very endearing. Is when it comes to a puzzle, I think because there's no way they could basically make Trico sentient, there is only one way for Trico to help you finish a puzzle.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that if you don't see a way easier solution to this puzzle, Trico is not going to help you do it. So you can literally be stood on a ledge and you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you need to get to the ledge across from you. And you also know, without a shadow of a doubt, Trico can easily raise you on its head high enough for you to reach that platform. But Trico will never do it. Ever.
You have to initiate...
Because the puzzle is actually solved somewhere else. Despite the fact you know that is the solution to the puzzle. And that can either, unless you play by the rules, which is, this is a rule we went by after about probably 50% of the game, is if Trico seems like Trico is not behaving and not doing what you want, instead of like trying to force it, which we were doing, is like, Trico, will you fucking go over there? Will you do this? And she just won't. She's not supposed to.
Right. Okay.
Right? She's not supposed to. You need to bear in mind, if Trico's not doing what you want Trico to do, it's not supposed to do that because it has to be in a very set place to make the puzzle work. It wants to get there. And most often it actually tells you, like I said, the puzzles are very obscure in this game, but Trico will try and help you. Trico will look where you're supposed to go. She'll play with things. So if it's a lever or some sort of cogwheel that needs to turn a gate, she'll play with it like a dog would. She'll pat it and you know, play and tell you need to be doing something with this. Okay, they will point you in the right direction, which is something we clocked. Like I said, the first puzzle was 4 rooms away, but Trico was looking in that direction and kept going back to that room. So whereas I was thinking game mechanics, they've just given this item, it must be used here. Trico's telling me, no, we need to go this way. I'm trying, because Trico knows where Trico wants to go. Like I said, Trico has an objective. You don't, as the player. Trico wants to go up and knows how to get there. So Trico will point you in the direction you want to go. So that's something I think people who might hear obscure puzzles and be like, this is going to be frustrating. It's not if you play by the rules. It's purely a case of Trico will tell you what's kind of, not tell you, but indicate where you need to go and will behave in a way that will make that possible.
So let me ask you this then. So considering the size of Trico and the way that it's been programmed, did you come across any problems with puzzles where it wasn't, you felt, working maybe as intended, or you had a problem with anything?
Yeah, I mean, literally about halfway through the game, we had a puzzle which we were stuck on for 15 minutes.
Right.
And we were just trying to get Trico to sit and raise her head, which sounds ridiculously simple because you could do that at pretty much any point. But Trico would not do it. Kept walking away and then kept putting, leaning against the wall, which was nowhere where we could do anything. That's where you learn this isn't the way we solve this puzzle. Simply just, all we had to move was about 10 feet to a place that we didn't see and run to where we wanted to go.
Oh,
yeah, that was it. It was, we're in the right place. It was the solution to the puzzle. It was the platform we wanted to get to, but Trico would not do it.
Right.
Which is frustrating unless you realize straight away and quickly, okay, this isn't how we do it. Let's move on. Yeah. It's because Trico's AI is really difficult because Trico behaves on her own as well and needs to solve a lot of really complex puzzles. So that's something you need to bear in mind, is that's why it doesn't allow you to do 5 different solutions to the same puzzle.
I was just going to say, so if you're expecting to find multiple solutions for a puzzle and you think that it should work, it won't do. Not because it's bugged, it's because there's a different way of solving it.
There's a different way of solving it, and ultimately, I mean, it's almost testament to the game is Trico feels like Trico's alive.
Right.
Trico acts and behaves like a living creature, and almost like a pet. So if you have a dog and you want a dog to do something, you can get it to do it, even with really basic commands like you have in this game. But no, it's still a game, and you keep having to come back to that. It's like still a game, and Trico is essentially in most parts becoming a ladder, and that ladder can only be placed in one place.
Right. Okay.
So that's what's going on there. Now, having said that though, when it goes fucking wrong, oh my god, it just takes you out of the game so fucking much. No. It's really bad. So yeah, Trico can go wrong, and this is something they've been trying to fix for a long, long time in making this game. The puzzles are hard. When Trico messes up and doesn't trigger things. So a big problem that you'll have during the game is that in order to activate the next part of Trico's pre-programmed AI for certain areas, like leaping from place to place, you have to physically go over the trigger. That might mean that you will get to a ledge and you will see the next ledge Trico needs to go to, but Trico will just sit there.
Right.
And you'll be like, go Trico, go. You know, you'll just be like, please go. It won't be until you've like, the game wants you to get off, not get off Trico, but walk around on Trico and take in the area for a second. I'm not saying this happens a lot. It happens every now and again. Then you'll go back to the head, then suddenly Trico will activate. Yeah, then suddenly it will activate. Again, it's a case of you're trying to talk to this animal that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
But you're so into it, you're like, go Trico, I know how to tell you to go, you know. I have a command that tells you to get going. I can point you in a direction. I can do all these things. And then occasionally it doesn't. In one particular instance, though, when Trico's AI does bug out, and it does, and the triggers don't happen properly, you're on a waiting game for when you're going to hit the checkpoint reload. Now, I want to say this. The checkpoint reload system in this game is fucking awesome. It's literally like 10 seconds previous.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's at the... They know that Trico can bug out. They're not stupid, the designers. They know that Trico can cause problems. So they've let you... Every puzzle you get into, which is a series of mini puzzles, every time you get to a new mini puzzle, that's where your checkpoint is. You're never more than 20 seconds behind where you previously were.
I like that.
Yeah, because you are on this waiting game to when do you reload the checkpoint. The worst case we had was a simple area where we fell down into some water. All Trico had to do was drop its tail down in there so we could climb up it. 30 minutes we were there. We had to reload the game 3 times. All right. Look at his tail stuck in the floor. Have you seen this, Andy? Look at his tail. It's like stuck in the floor. I think he's physically stuck. I think the doggy's physically stuck. Oh! The tail's moved. Is it the back left victory? It thinks I have the tail. Doesn't it? The game thinks I have the tail. Trico's tail was physically stuck on the floorboard.
I saw that when
yeah,
you were
Trico's tail was
it.
physically stuck. So Trico was trying to do what Trico was supposed to do, but because she interacts properly with the world, she was stuck in the floorboards. She couldn't fit a tail through it.
I saw the tail. The end of the tail was on one part of the hole. The length of the tail dipped through the hole.
Yep.
So obviously, like with the end of it stuck on the terrain, it wasn't going to go through. Which
no,
I
and
saw
Trico
that.
was. I mean, you always feel bad because Trico's really trying.
Yeah.
Just can't get a tail through there at all. And it was 30 minutes. And what ended up happening, if I'll be honest, because the puzzle itself had no normal solution.
Right.
So it was just a water with a box, and we thought, okay, it's a floating box puzzle. We've seen them all before. And nothing was happening. And at certain points, the narrator was actually saying, congratulations on finishing the puzzle.
Oh, so it thought you did it?
Yeah, it assumed because Trico put the tail down, but couldn't fit through the floorboards, that we'd actually got the tail and gone out.
Shit.
So it just kept bugging out over and over and over again. But that section of the game, I imagine, will give a lot of people trouble and will probably be patched. But that's an example of where you're like, this is just taking me out of this amazing journey so much. I mean, derailed it so goddamn much. But on the backside of that, though, this game is fucking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The atmosphere, and plus the soundtrack, it's almost like it's straight from Interstellar. It sounds Hans Zimmerish. It's really, really
powerful.
Cool. Oh, it's really powerful and really evocative of emotions and stuff like that. Absolutely adored the soundtrack as well.
Awesome.
So the pros is the story, despite you don't get told a story, it's really pulls at your heartstrings because you can't.
Imagination, mate.
It's all that. It just inspires you. We had a chat of people who were just throwing theory after theory. Is this a cult? Is it a prison? Is Trico's family up there? Is Trico a mother? Is Trico a father? Is Trico evil? Is Trico good? Are you good? Who's the boy? Just constantly trying to work it out because there were clues constantly throughout the game about certain things.
Yeah.
From a piece of color to the shape of certain symbols that are in there. All that kind of stuff is just fantastic. And you want to get to the end, which is why we wanted to finish this game. Is because we were like, we need to know what happens here because this is a great, great tale that's being told. When the AI is doing its thing, it's a cinematic masterpiece.
It looks really good.
It's cinematic masterpiece when the AI is doing its thing. When it's working perfectly and you're playing by the rules, you'll be doing things like leaping off high towers, grabbing onto the tail and swinging round to places. And it looks so fucking cool. The world is absolutely gorgeous. The frame rate on the PS4 is, of course, awful in a lot of that scenarios when big things are going on.
Oh, no, you can actually visually see the drops
Oh,
in some
majorly,
areas.
yeah. I mean, we played it on a PS4 Pro, but you're talking probably 15 FPS when the mega things are going on. Actual in-game gameplay is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, normal gameplay is fine, but...
So you mean like in-game cinematics?
I'm talking about when the really colossal events happen. Not to use the pun there of Shadow of the Colossus, but there are some colossal events that go on in that game, and the frame rate just drops. Only momentarily. You're talking a few seconds or something. You still know what's going on, but yeah, it just can't hack it whatsoever. So the cons to this game then are when the AI fucks it up, it really fucks up the game flow. I mean, we had like massive conversations going on about it. We were working it out while systematically working through the puzzles. Then you'll just hit this 30-minute block where you can't get out of a room. and you just can't work out what's going on, and the game's, you know, and Trico's not behaving and stuff like that, you're asking yourself, when should I reload the checkpoint? Should I check how this room is done? Because what I'm seeing just isn't happening, and it just takes you out of the flow so much. I hope they patch it and fix it.
But that didn't happen often, though.
It probably happened 3 hours in 7 hours of gameplay, but did it stand out? Yes.
Ah, shit, right. Okay.
They're that bad. When it goes wrong,
trying to rectify it.
When it goes wrong, it really goes wrong. And because the game works so well beyond that, that when it takes you out of it, because it's constantly puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. It's puzzle, puzzle, puzzle. And then you'll just hit this one and you'll be like, I want to smash. Yeah, we had lots of comments like, I would have smashed the pad by now because it's just not doing what you want it to do. And it's just super, super frustrating when it happens. On the other side of that, then, because of that stuff, and it is a massive puzzle game, there might be a lot of people who don't want to experience this because the story is told by observation. It's a game that is absolutely ruined by knowing the ending. Absolutely, like, crushing knowing the ending. So it's one of those where, did you watch a playthrough? You're probably not going to want to pick it up. But honestly, I think it's well worth the money if you've got the PS4 and you don't know what's going to happen.
One thing I'm thinking about, because of the style of the game and the way the story's told, that to me doesn't sound like a lot of replayability, though.
No.
No.
No, it's about the journey. It is about that journey, the story they're trying to tell.
Not the destination, mate.
No, not really. No, it's about forming that bond and trying to work out. I mean, you just have this element of mistrust, particularly if you've played Shadow of the Colossus and you know how that game ends. You know this company likes to do that. So you're always asking yourself that. You care when... it's like you get emotionally invested when Trico gets hurt. As Trico gets emotionally invested when you get hurt, which is the interesting thing, is you can see in this wonderful, gorgeous animation and the beautiful body language they've given Trico, that Trico is really upset. And the whimpers, they've used dog whimpers and stuff, and those sound effects. And when you're in combat, you're more bothered the fact that they're hurting Trico.
Okay.
Than trying to get you.
It evokes emotion from you.
Yeah, you can't help but feel it, which is often why when Trico won't behave, because it's still an AI, it's so frustrating because you're like, this shouldn't be happening for this. Which is, that's the con. That is the con. Why? Well, that was
my shock face, mate. So how was it?
It was a journey. It was a hell of a journey. The bond is real, man. The bond is very fucking...
Really?
Yeah, you feel like it's alive. You really do. And then it games up. It does things that are game-related, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's not a real creature that's thinking and stuff.
So there's that thing that just snaps you out of immersion?
Yeah, it keeps bringing you out and stuff, but it is a hell of a journey. What I will say is we did finish it. We did finish the game. You can check the VOD as well on Twitch. It'll be linked below if you're not going to buy it. Is that the story is there, but it's one of those like almost Dark Souls-ish, but not really, where they've give you bits and pieces of a story, but you've got to connect the dots and come up with what your own story of what's going on is.
It's very reminiscent of Shadow of the Colossus. It's exactly the same
It's very much a painting that's got like bits of it filled in, and you've got to fill in the blanks. Yeah. So we had guys coming up with all kinds of different stories. I'll be honest, I didn't like that because there are elements of that game that just to connect those dots is a real stretch. It's a real stretch to like connect it out, but people enjoy. A lot of people. I mean, I know a lot of people cried at the end of this game. I know.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people cried at the end of the game.
Shit.
But for me, it's all about. The journey was fantastic. I didn't like the ending. I thought there was elements that they'd thrown in to try and make
Need
you
more
go,
closure.
What's that? But they don't explain what that is.
They need more closure.
And you kind of have to come up with yourself. Well, I agree with both sides. I think lots of people out there love game theories. They absolutely adore that stuff. Japan loves that stuff, where people sit down and they'll come up with these entire worlds based on the few elements the game actually provided that you have facts for. But for me, I was like, you kind of need to tell us why this bit, this bit occurred, and they don't do that. So be prepared if you do play the game. It's really about the journey, and that journey is on its way. Except for when fucking Trico doesn't behave, in which case I have to smash the pad 12 times over. If you enjoyed that video, please check out the last one, which was Dead Rising 4.
Was either that or mate, or was it the spiffing? I believe it was the spiffing.
Oh, I forget about that game because it was so short, but what a good game. You should check that game out. It was awesome. Alright guys, see you again. Bye-bye. Do you get the idea?